Hello and welcome to another special episode of This Is Our Year. Not a question mark today, more of a like middle ground statement. This is our year.
The juice is back, baby.
The juice is back, Douglas.
Long season,
Let's
Michael.
long season.
Long season.
Long season, Saturday morning. The last time we did a Saturday morning event, I was drinking mimosas and you were also drinking mimosas. I am
Yeah.
not going to be drinking mimosas today.
No?
But what are you drinking, Doug? What are
You're
you
not
drinking?
celebrating Bijan? I
Not
have.
yet. Not yet.
Okay.
It's still 10 a.m. over here, and I have a 6-month-old, so I've been up
Um,
since 3:30. I know. I'm
oh, you weren't
disappointed that
kidding about that. Oh,
No, I
Christ.
was up at 3:30. My baby was excited to see her dad now last night because I was gone for the last 2 days in Baja, Mexico, and
Ooh.
yeah, it was good. But I'm happy to
Well,
be
dude,
home.
that's a perfect segue. Did you go surfing?
No, because they were 4-foot monster waves, and unfortunately, fatherhood has stricken me of surfing shape right now. So I need to get
I
back in
can
surfing
imagine.
shape.
Well, we're gonna
Yes.
we're gonna surf in spirit here with a little surfea Mexican
Very
lager.
nice.
Yeah,
Look at
right.
that segue. Look at that segue.
That was
So
perfect. Like right
it
on the
wasn't even
tee.
that wasn't even like rehearsed or anything. So
No, no,
look at
guys,
that.
we don't write, we don't write, we don't plan. Um,
Oh,
Mexican style lager. Quick shout out to the brewery, and then we can keep moving here. Brewed and canned in Eddie Line Brewing LLC, Buena Vista, Colorado. Because when you
okay.
think surfing, you think Colorado. So
Surfing Mexican lagers, you think of Colorado,
yes,
obviously.
why not?
Um,
So
so question:
cheers, buddy.
Have you ever been surfing?
Gosh, I have never been surfing successfully. I've fucked around, and so when I lived in South Carolina, there were really, really tiny waves. And as kids, we used to kind of just try to figure it out on our own, and I don't think we could. And and yeah, I've had a couple of chances to go, but I've never done it as an adult. It's kind of feel bad about that. I should
Yeah,
check that one
dude.
off before it's too
especially
late.
since especially since your fiance's family lives in Southern California, and I don't know, your
Well,
co-host lives in Surf City, USA.
yes, you. I would surf at your house. Surfing in Fullerton's a little rough, a little tough, as you know. I can maybe surf down the big like ravine behind their house,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
but no, I had a chance to go surfing. I think in Bali with my brother, and it was like day 11 of a Asian trip,
Bender,
and I was just completely. I just couldn't get out of bed,
drunk. Yes,
and
I know how that goes.
I yeah. So I have some regrets from that trip. That's one of them. But yeah. So you since you moved to LA, you that's been pretty. Did you jump right in like into surfing when you moved out there, or
No, I mean,
someone had to convince you?
no, 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 no. I wanted to surf when I got out here. I took a couple lessons. I've taken a few lessons. I understand the basics of surfing. I do not surf on a regular basis.
Okay.
This is Surf City, USA. It is
Yeah.
definitely, if you go where the people that have been surfing since they were kids go, I don't fit in that crowd. They don't
No.
want
No.
me. They don't want me on
No.
their waves. And to go to like the beginner crowd is fine, but it's just this is the God's honest truth. The Pacific Ocean is cold, and the
Yeah, it
water
is.
out here is like murky and gross.
Yeah, it's not
And
great.
so no, so it's not something like I rush to do every morning. I've been out in Huntington. I've been out in Newport. I've surfed. It's actually funny when I travel to places that have surf. I take a lesson there. So I've
Yeah.
surfed
Yeah,
Costa
that's how you
Rica.
do it.
I've
Nice.
surfed Hawaii. I've surfed Waikiki. I've surfed. Um, I'm trying to think what other places that I've surfed, but I've surfed all over. I surfed Bondi in Australia. So I've surfed.
Ooh.
I've surfed some
Whoa.
pretty fun beaches, and I just eat shit and take
Yeah.
get pummeled, but it's
Yeah.
fun. It's
That's no.
fun.
That's the same thing as going to the mountain, right? Get your ass
Yeah.
kicked, but it's a great day. So
Yeah, exactly. And you can only do it for like an hour. I mean,
yeah.
me personally,
Right.
your cardio. I mean, dude, that's the hardest part. It's not even catching. I mean, catching the wave is fucking hard. Don't get me wrong, but the hardest part is paddling out so
Paddling
you can catch the
all
wave. And
day. Yeah.
it's just
Constantly.
cardio and shoulders, which
Yeah.
both of those right now for me are
Well.
Mid five, mid 5 to 6.
Yeah, right there with you,
so
buddy. Okay.
yeah, it's been, but it's fun. It's fun. We should do it next time you come out. We'll take a
Yes.
lesson. We'll take a
Okay.
lesson. We'll go down to Surf City, and we'll get out there with the guide so that we don't cut off any monster guys on waves that are going to be pissed off that two
Uh,
44-year-old men are
yeah,
fucking cutting them off. You know,
I've seen Point Break. If I see Anthony Kiedis anywhere near, we got to go to another beach.
he
So
he does get his leg blown off in that movie.
he
So
does.
just there's
He had
karma.
what he had it coming.
Yes, he did.
But speaking of, the Mets are riding quite the wave right now, buddy. What do you
Look
think?
at these
You
fucking
back?
segues. I just teeing them up, and you're just knocking them out of the
We're
park, just
getting
like
good at
Pete
this.
Alonso did last night,
That
just like
was
Francisco Alvarez did
Oppo
last night,
too.
just like Brett Beatty did last night. 3 home runs last night. Offense is showing signs of life, Douglas, which is nice.
And like power, right? Because this team was not hitting
We
bombs
didn't hit a home run in what was it? What was
like
it?
5 games in a row or something.
Yeah, it was some.
6 games.
We set a record for like the last decade of futility for home runs as a New York Mets team, which makes no sense because we have the league's leader in home runs, right?
Right.
So I don't know,
I
Doug. We're showing signs of life. We took
Yep.
the Rays series. We split with the Nats, which we should have won that 4 game series. We took the Rays series, and we just beat Cleveland. We're getting rained out today on May 20th. So doubleheader tomorrow. Hopefully, we can take 1-2 and take that series. And that's
I'm so tired of these doubleheaders. The Mets play way too many of them. It was fun at first, but I feel like the last 3 years it's been 10, 15
we,
per season.
well, it's what happens when you live in New York
Yeah,
and you play a lot of baseball in March and April and May.
yeah. It's just
Stupid.
the staff has been put through so much already. It's here we go again. But
Well, Quintana's getting on the hill today for his first
yeah,
not rehab start, but he's throwing the ball today.
that's good
So
news.
that's better news than whatever. Carrasco looked like dog shit again yesterday.
Again, I mean, first inning with him again.
Dude,
Um,
he's throwing batting
he's throwing
practice.
BP. Yeah,
He is not able to hit. He's a junk baller that's not able to change speeds. There's not
right.
enough difference between his pitches anymore. It just looks like fucking batting practice. These guys.
That's exactly what I told my father last night when he called. They were down 4-0, and I said, "Yeah, he's chucking BP. I mean, if he's not hitting those pinpoints, you're right. Everyone's going to tee off on him.
Yep. And
Um,
so, I mean,
but
if he's your fifth starter and he can get 5 to 6 innings every 5 days, and he can go 10-10 with a 4.5 ERA, I'm happy. But right now, I think he's like 0-3 with like a 9.0 ERA.
he's scuffling again, and we've seen him turn it around, but it could be the end of the road. Speaking of though, decent segue there. Big topic of conversation here. It has to be people relitigating the Lindor trade because Cleveland's in town. Any hot thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's just media
Yeah,
looking for a
I agree.
story. I would do that trade 10 times out of 10. Yeah, Jimenez has turned into a really good player, and Rosario is not that great. He's okay. I
Yeah,
don't know I can't remember with the pitcher. Gray was
Josh
it that we get?
Wolf.
Oh, Josh Wolf. I don't think he's
I
made
don't.
it to the bigs yet. So
No,
the two
he's one
guys that
other
made
guy.
it, yeah, they got a second baseman and a first base and a shortstop out of it. That I think Jimenez for them was the prize of
Yeah,
that,
it
and
was.
I think he's played well, but I think I would take Frankie Lindor at shortstop last year's season against whatever Jimenez did at second base last year. And I know he's an all-star last year. I think he's played pretty well in the 2 years that they've had him.
Yeah,
But
and
I don't
and
know.
he's young, but you're right. Media needs something to talk about, so Lindor shut them all up last night, which was really
Oh,
nice to
and
see.
also this Jason Kipnis bullshit about how Lindor's not a leader. Like, come on. And
He said,
Lindor
"Oh,
handled
I
that.
missed that." He said that.
Oh yeah, Kipnis came out and said the reason the Mets are struggling is because there's no veteran leadership on the team, and he was asked point blank by AJ Perzinski's podcast, who also was known to be a huge dickhead. If
No,
you remember,
no,
he
yeah,
got knocked the
nobody liked
fuck
him.
out.
Right.
Didn't he? Did he get knocked the fuck out, or did
He
he
did.
knock someone the fuck out? Yeah, right.
Oh, that good question. No, you're right. I think he's the guy who pasted somebody. Who
Right.
was it? Like
He
Barrett
was
or
still he was a fucking dickhead
yeah.
though. Nobody liked him in baseball,
I heard
and
that. Yeah.
so he was on his podcast Kipnis, and he said, so directly, are you talking about Frankie Lindor? And he said, I repeat, there's no veteran leadership. And they asked Lindor
Spicy.
about it, and he said, I don't really have any comment. And he laughed because Lindor is a classy guy, and he is exactly what the New York Mets need. He's one of the best shortstops in baseball, and I don't know, Kipnis, you were out of the game by 36, and I don't know, you were okay for a couple of years. You were
I was
probably
gonna
on the
say
juice.
like I was gonna guess 30. I feel like he wasn't even in the league that long. So
He was in for
yeah,
like 8 or 10 years, and
all right,
he had like 2 or 3 good years
right.
for Cleveland. They did go to the World Series together in 2017, him and Lindor,
Look this guy up.
but he then went to Atlanta and didn't do anything. I mean, there's guys still in the league at 36. The guy's 36 years old now, and he's not in the league. So I don't know.
Yeah, he played from age 24 to 33. All right, a little longer than I thought.
Whatever. Go fuck
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Who cares? But
But yeah, so
so
the
the
big
kids
the
are
big
hitting.
thing is kids are hitting. Alvarez is starting to show
He
that
looks like he belongs. Do you
he
agree
does.
that Beatty and Alvarez are up for good?
Yes, yes. I
I
think
do too.
Thomas Nito is now going to probably have dry eye syndrome for the rest of the year. Uh, um,
Collect your paycheck, buddy, and
I
thanks. But
think, and I don't know if I don't think he has any options left. So, whatever. I'm sure we can trade him to another team. I like Nito, but I don't need a
I don't mind
backup
him. But
catcher that hits 200 every year.
he
And
really
he's
can't
great.
hit.
No, he's great defensively, but like you got Narvaez, who's your lefty platoon that I do think is going to come back and is owed some money. And I don't think Gary Sanchez, I don't think the thought process behind him is going to be um, doing a lot of catching. I think he's going to be doing a lot of DHing, and he's actually really good against right-handers. So he actually may replace Vogelbach.
Oh, Vogelback. Okay.
He's a reverse. He's a reverse like he's better against righties than he is against lefties. So he may be someone that they're looking to replace Vogelbach. And they had to elevate him because he had an out today.
Yeah,
So
he
it
forced it. They're going to take a look. I'm not expecting that much. Are you?
no, but I
It's like,
mean, if the guy can just be the DH and just focus on hitting, and not have to worry about catching, maybe once a week he catches just to keep him not from getting rusty, and he could be the backup to Alvarez for till Narvaez comes back. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely worth a fucking shot. What are we paying
it's
this
worth a
guy?
shot.
Like,
Right.
like
Nothing.
$1 million? I mean,
Yeah.
dude, if you he's 30 years old. If you can turn this guy around, you got yourself a diamond in a rough that can be your DH. I mean, we talked about this last show how we've been searching for a DH since the DH became a thing in the National League.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So
It's been a couple of
I'm
weeks.
not opposed to taking a look. And if he doesn't work out, what did you lose? Michael
Nothing.
Perez, Thomas Nito, like
Yeah.
whatever, man.
And Michael
So
Perez is a good professional, but yeah, I don't think we're going to
yeah,
miss it.
and I think
And
Beatty is your third baseman going forward. I think Vientos is the guy that'll probably play against lefties as the DH and spot some Pete and spot some Beatty.
right.
Maybe when there's a tough lefty, he'll play third.
He looks comfy here though. He doesn't look overmatched.
I mean, he hit a home run in his
We
first
might
game
have
back.
something here. Yeah, might have something.
So I would love to see that, and even Maurizio's hitting. And at this point, I mean, Canna is not, and Marte. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but those are the two guys we got to get going. And if we can't, then maybe you put McNeil in left, and maybe you either put Vientos or Beatty in left, and let Vientos play third, and
Third.
roll the dice, man. I mean, if these kids are going to hit, I was against it,
Me
but
too.
it's almost Memorial Day, and that's about the time where you got to figure it the fuck out. And if we don't start getting in the right direction, I mean, we're at 500 finally.
Hmm.
I feel good. I feel like I don't think we've turned the corner, but I feel like we're making progress in the right direction.
Seeing good signs. And yeah, you know me. I usually want to call guys up early. But even I thought Mauricio probably shouldn't see City Field this year, and he like leads the minors in hits or something like that, or at least AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is on a tear. So shit, why not? And and we've seen what Alvarez has done to jumpstart this team, and of course Beatty, and even Vientos, and it's almost night and day. Well, it's a short sample, right? Right, but this was never say die week. How cool was
Yeah,
that Alvarez bottom of the ninth 3-run bomb on Wednesday? I
I
hope you
mean,
saw it. And then Pete Walkoff. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched the highlights. I was in Mexico, like I said, but
Yeah, we just
um,
had two really memorable baseball games this week. After a
yeah,
lot of people were reading their last rites, basically.
I mean, and rightfully so. This team still hasn't pitched well at all,
No,
and their bullpen is completely taxed on May 20th.
it's yeah,
So
that's a
if
bad
we
sign.
can get the offense going and we can win 8-6 every game, I'm
Right.
okay with it. But um, this was always going to be a difficult year when we lost, Edwin at the WBC, and I don't know if you saw Buck's comments on that a couple days ago.
No,
I feel like, he said, I feel like it all started at the WBC. We've lost our closer for the year, and you know, anyway,
he's not
maybe
wrong.
no, he's not wrong. So anyway, I feel like positive signs, cautiously optimistic. Let's see
Yep.
what the next couple we got. We still have a couple more games against mediocre teams, right
Cleveland
around
and
the
then
same,
yeah, heading out to Chicago, right?
and then Colorado, and then Philly. So I mean,
Yeah, Philly's struggling. I won't
it's
say
a
a
time
word, but
to it's a time to make some moves. Let's make some moves, boys. And
yeah,
if
and
not, I don't know.
again, they look like a actual baseball team against the best by record team in MLB against the Rays. So um, if they gotten swept there, I mean, I can't imagine the headlines and what we're all talking about. So
Right.
this is why you don't give up in May.
Not before. Not before. Yeah. Not before. You want to talk about July 4th, and we're
Hmm.
scuffling along. But I mean, as long as you're in striking distance, that's the one thing that I can't read Twitter about Mets because Mets land goes crazy, and I can't. You just go down that rabbit hole. But where the rest of the National League is all 500. 7 teams make the playoffs. It's the Braves, the Dodgers, and that's about it. I don't know who. I think Milwaukee's leading the Central, but I don't think they're like great. I think most of the Central is right around 500.
St. Louis is
And
waking up finally, but yeah,
right, and they're like 10 and
Phillies in the shitter.
23. Phillies in the shitter. The everyone thought the
Marlins all
Marlins
right.
might take a step forward. They're okay. San Diego's not
No,
doing anything great,
they're having a
especially with
rough
that.
year too.
They're having a rough year. So I don't know, man. I'm not overly concerned with 7 teams making the playoffs. We
Me
just
neither.
named two that are probably definitely going to make it. Two more of those will most likely make it, and there's still 3 more. And I like our chances if we can figure out the starting pitching to get right by September. And I think we got some moves in us to
Yeah,
pick up some bullpen arms, maybe a starter,
and a starter
and
maybe.
yeah, and we'll see where we go. But like, we've got time. Time is on our side.
We
And
do.
like Lou Lamarillo always says, when you got time, use it.
Hmm.
So let's segue to a little New York Islanders, or lack of New York Islanders speak.
I like it.
It's May 20th. The Islanders season has been over for
About a month.
6 weeks. Yeah, a month. Okay. And we still haven't had an end of season call from Lou, Lane, anything. Last year, we
Nothing.
waited 2 weeks and they fired Trotz, and then another week and they named Lampert.
Right.
Now we're about a month in and we haven't heard anything. So there's not much to report there. And we'll do our off-season review,
Yeah.
after the cup
No need
finals
to talk
over.
about the roster at all.
No, but the only thing I've found really interesting in the last 24 or 48 hours is Kyle Dubas got let go
Yep.
in Toronto.
Polarizing
And
figure.
and I think him and Lou, well, it's a well-known fact, him and Lou have a really close relationship.
Right.
Lou's 80, hasn't announced a new contract. He's already the president of hockey operations. I don't believe
As he
he's a
should be.
GM,
He should
as he
be
should be.
the
But we don't
president.
have an acting sole GM because he holds that title as well. His son is the assistant GM. We all are not looking forward to the day Chris Lamoriello is named the GM of the Islanders. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Um,
It's always a possibility, right?
it's always a possibility, but I don't think that would be his final act. I think that's
I
just not
hope
his.
not. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think that's a lose bag. I think
Yeah.
his if his kid wants to get named, he'll let
He's
someone
been
else do it.
he's been
He's
practicing with Bridgeport, right? He runs the Bridgeport roster, I believe.
I think he did. I think he's now the assistant GM over the
Okay.
last couple of whatever, but who knows?
Yeah.
So Kyle Dubas is free. He says if he's not in Toronto, he doesn't want to be anywhere. But I don't know,
That's
man. This would be a good soft landing spot for
that's
his mentor
yeah, like
to
that's the
come
kind of
in.
thing you say when you haven't been shown a ridiculous contract yet,
Right.
right? And I mean, the connection's there. I think it's pretty easy, right, to make that
The
connection.
connection's there, but on top of the connection, the succession plan is there. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm president. You're come in as GM. I'll retire in a year or two. You can take over as president, and then you can name your own GM. Right? It's as fat. It's a and that's if all goes according to plan. Does the guy want to come in and take over this roster? That's a whole other question. But it's interesting because what is the succession plan? I mean, Lou turned 80 this year. He seems like he's still with it. We say that now, but during the season we question whether he is at
Yeah, if
certain
he's awake,
times.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun, right? It's good times with Lou. He's done probably a little more. He's done more good than bad,
I
but
think so.
we he gets on our nerves a lot, doesn't he?
I think that he gets on our nerves, and I think he is loyal to a fault with a
Yeah.
lot of veterans.
When I say
Uh,
he's
so
done more good than bad, it's pretty close though, if you
it's
think
pretty
about it.
close, but he definitely. I mean, he took us into the post Tavares era and brought us to the uh, the conference championship
This is usually where I argue that
twice.
Barry Trotz actually did that with Garth Snow's framework, but sure.
I mean, they took a lot of guys off the Garth Snow heap and turned them into legitimate players. Brock Nelson. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
he had Bailey working for a while. Anders Lee had some of his best seasons.
Shit, like Robin Leonard, like guys like that too. Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
the Taze is a great player now. Again, a lot of it Trotz. And Lou can overpay, right? He's the asset management hasn't been great.
No, it
Um,
hasn't been great, but he's
so
uh, kept a core together that he felt that he believed
yeah,
in, and I don't,
and that's fair.
I, yeah, I don't
He
know,
got
I don't.
Sorokin to sign.
Well, we'll see if he does it again or what happens with that because that's going to be interesting. But yeah, so just interesting stuff in
Well,
Islanders land.
so let me pose this question, because everybody kind of make the elementary connection that Lou and Dubas have a history. But let me ask you, just in terms of performance, do you think he's a good GM, Dubas? He won one goddamn playoff round in like what 5 years up there, and I know it's the media capital of hockey, and he put together a team with four superstars, and it really didn't do anything. Is that just bad
I
luck?
I think part of their issue was that they never had a goaltender
Yeah,
that was very good. Um,
never.
I think the pressure from ownership up there is
It's immense.
immense, and I think that you got a lot. Like you said, it's the media capital of the NHL. Like I think some of these guys probably get treated like rock stars in Toronto, and I think it's like
It goes to their head.
probably a little bit. Like you got Marner and you got Nylander and you got Matthews and Tavares,
Right.
and you also are putting ancillary pieces around those guys
And he hasn't
to.
done a great job. The
Uh,
results speak for themselves. They're usually preseason. The hype's through the roof with that team, right?
sure, and it's not like if Lou leaves, we won't be able to fill his position. I just think
Oh no,
I,
yeah,
I think someone I like a young mind like Dubas. Sometimes you get it's like
I do.
similar to Epler. Like Epler was really young when he got his first GM position, and he worked for a fucking owner that was not good and was meddling. And he did a lot of good things in Anaheim, but some of them didn't come to fruition. And then he was gone for a little while, and now he's reemerged in New York, and I think he's done a good job in New York. I think he's also
Pretty good.
young. He was like prodigy, and I think that
Prodigy.
can.
He was under Cashman, right,
Mhm.
for a bit.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it'd be kind of the same story. You know, rejoining, or I guess same town, but yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't necessarily hate the Dubas hire.
No, I don't either. And if it, I mean, I like it more than a Chris Lamoriello, and I guess that's the only other
Yeah,
thing that we're
that we're
think
even talking about. So,
talking about. But we're
or actually,
being
did you see the list of potential Toronto replacements? It's stacked high poo poo platter of options. So if you're going to get a retread, yes, give me Kyle Dubas.
yes. Well, I also
Heathen.
who wants to work for Brendan Shanahan?
I know.
Like
That's. I
he, I
mean,
mean,
he's the one who pushed Lou out, right?
yes. And he was also like, wasn't he? Didn't he work for the NHL offices for a while
Hmm.
in
He used
player
to be the
like
punishment guy,
yeah, exactly. And then he became the president of the
the suspension
Toronto.
guy.
And I'm like, why did what did Brendan Shanahan ever
It's
do
always ex Rangers, man.
to
Colin
to
Campbell used to do that
prove?
shit.
Yeah, what did he ever do to prove that he was like good enough to run a hockey franchise?
It's no,
He's a great.
it's probably the most old boys network that's still standing out of all the sports, right?
Yeah, definitely,
Although
definitely.
you could still look at NFL coaching trees. A lot of fail sons in there too. But
That
hey,
is fair. But
you
at
want to
least
use that as the
young
segue?
guys. Yeah, yeah. Let's all right. Let's do it. We got so special edition. We got our
Talk
Dynasty
some
Draft.
football.
We're going to talk
Yeah.
some Dynasty fantasy football today. I
So
was going to wear my
bye,
Aaron
mom and dad.
Rodgers by every other person on that's watching. Uh, let's
Oh
see.
yeah,
Do
they're
we have any
riveted by that
viewers?
Islanders content.
Let's see. We got one view and one viewer. I guess. Oh, Josh is watching. Hi, Josh. So Josh will stay on because he wants to
What
get
up,
some
Josh?
intel.
I saw
He'll
you
want to get
called.
some intel.
I'm on the
So
show.
so let's talk about it, man. What do you think? We got a rookie dynasty draft coming up here in an
Yeah,
hour and a
man,
half.
I've come around on this class. I know you're
Really?
excited. I have.
I mean, I'm excited to have 1.01 because I think that's the head and shoulders clear cut number one pick
Easiest
of this
draft pick
draft.
you'll ever make, probably.
Yes. Yes. So we can get that out of the way. Bijan Robinson going 1-1 to the Huntington Beach Bad Boys. And I think it's the no brainer of every dynasty draft across the country that know if you know what you're doing, right? You're not taking Bryce Young. You're not taking Jamar Gibbs, right?
The
So
only thing I could see is that, well, you know what? We don't play super flex, but I could see Richardson going high in like a super flex, maybe.
I mean, I love
Anyway,
Richardson. I think he's the
absolutely.
best. The best. I think he has the ability to be the best quarterback, boomer bust out of this draft.
Right.
If I had a second, if I had a second pick in the first round, which I used to, that's probably what I would have taken at number 5 overall. But I traded that
Yeah.
for Kenneth Walker, which looks really bad now
Yeah.
that they drafted Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, you're not loving that, but I guess we'll get to that. So, back to Bijan. You're stoked. He's just can do it all, right?
They say he's the best running back to come out since Saquon. Can run, can catch, can pass block. Uh, big guy gets in the open field. And he's going to Arthur Smith's offense. And anything you know about Arthur Smith is he made Derrick Henry's career what it is now. Derrick Henry's a cyborg, so he's a lot harder to tackle and bring down. But Bijan, I think he's going to get a lot of touches on an offense with suspect quarterback play. Are they going to load up the box? Maybe, probably, but he can probably also beat the linebackers out of the backfield, and I'm sure they'll scheme him up to do a lot of damage. And he has really no, he's got Tyson Algier, who may be somewhat of a goal line vulture, but
He's just
maybe
kind of
not.
a guy, though. Like,
I mean, he ran for 1,000 yards last year as a fifth-round pick in Arthur Smith's offense. So think about what the eighth overall pick in the draft and one of the best running back prospects can do a year later in that offense. I'm excited. So we can get that out of the
you
way.
should be. And in Dynasty, you don't have to like overanalyze what the current situation is anyway. I mean, who cares if their offense sucks this year?
Right,
He's going to make it better.
right, right. So I have a feeling he's going to be quite good. So what other rookies do we think are going to go in the top 10? You said you've come around on this draft class.
Yeah. So,
Let's
I
talk.
mean,
Let's talk about
okay,
running backs besides
sure.
Bijan. What do you like?
Well, I think in our draft, at least, and there's arguments to not do this, obviously, but in our draft, Jameer Gibbs is going number 2, I think. I would predict that at least. And I've seen conflicting stuff on him. Now, I haven't really done much homework on these guys because I'm down at 9. I'm not getting Jameer Gibbs. I've seen some
Right.
things like comparisons to like DeAndre Swift, which to me is not great.
Right.
I've seen some comparisons where he could do a lot more. So, do you have any particular thoughts on Gibbs?
I think it was interesting because there was a lot of teams in this draft that were very high on him. Apparently, if he had fallen to 16, the Jets would have seriously considered taking him. And they had Brees Hall
Wow.
from last
Yeah.
year. Now he's coming off an ACL injury, so maybe that's more of a small window because you have Aaron Rodgers type thought. But I've heard
Fair.
a lot of people were high on him, and I believe the Lions did they trade back up to get him? I think they did.
I
Uh,
think they did too, which had people scratching their heads. So, they
so I
they
think
see something.
I think they see something. I think they wanted to get ahead of a couple of other teams, and I think it is partially an indictment on the lack of playmakers in this particular draft. That
Sure.
the few top playmakers were like, even though they may not have been, if they were in last year's draft, maybe they would have been late first, early second round,
Yeah.
mid
Yeah.
second round kind of guys. I think that, if you had a guy and you believed in a guy and he was one of the top playmakers, you like went for it. So I think that's how I interpret it. But I've had people that I've talked to, in the league say they compare Gibbs to poor man's McCaffrey, and maybe that's something that the Lions saw too. I don't know. Maybe he is a better, has the ability to have a higher ceiling. So
Well,
I
it
think
seems like pure talent wise, he's better than David Montgomery. And who else do they still have up there? Forgetting.
they have David
I'll find
Montgomery.
it.
They have him, and then they
They signed
lost.
somebody else. I can't think of it.
They had a couple of like
They have
retread
like Craig
guys.
Reynolds and guys like that.
Correct. Yeah. So
Shortstop from the 1980s Astros.
correct.
Um, what? uh,
So I think you take him 2 overall in our league for sure. And then other than that, what running backs have got you excited? You got any sleepers? You got
the running
any?
backs? Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at draft prospects, right? And everybody's kind of bunched together. First thing I look for: how many ACLs does a guy have?
Right.
If the number is under 2, I'm jumping. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. I'm not saying this guy's first round or top 12, but I was saying I've been reading a lot on Tajay Spears. I have a couple of second round picks this year, so I'm more well read on like guys like that than like Jordan Addison and JSN and other guys, Flowers. I'm not going to see these guys. So
No. I have a
uh,
feeling you just named off the top five of our draft, right?
yeah,
Jordan Addison,
right,
Zay Flowers, Jackson
exactly.
Smith, and
And
Jigba.
but there's some like yeah, it's not a great draft, but if you squint, you can see some fun stuff here with the running backs. I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you
I-
think Tajay Spears? Who drafted Tajay Spears?
that is not who I have ranked third at all. Don't worry. I just kind of wanted to make that ACL joke. Tajay is gonna be behind Derrick Henry. Speaking of, so
And
he
he only
actually
has one ACL.
he only has one ACL,
So
so he might be what they call a one contract guy who just gets a ton of work early on and is dead in 4 years. Like,
wasn't his name Todd Gurley? Although he
yeah,
did get a second contract and was a
exactly. Well, yeah, he did.
complete
But
waste of that second
Atlanta
contract.
Falcons, know how to pick him. But kind of like I think I heard Jay Ajayi mentioned. Remember that guy? He only played a few years.
Yes, he was
Yeah,
at
but
Penn State running back, right?
I don't remember that. I just remember
Okay.
he like started going off in Miami for like a year or two, right?
Yes.
Penn State. Yeah, there's some good players. Like you squint. You think Kendry Miller is eventually going to get the job in New Orleans? Maybe. How about Devin Achane? Just explosive little guy.
Yeah, I
Think
think he's.
something
I
like that.
think. I think he's a guy in the second round that is worth taking.
Yep.
He's gonna be. going against the San Francisco 49ers backfield of Raheem Mostert and Jerry Wilson, right? So or
Yeah,
Jeff Wilson.
Jeffrey.
So both those
Yeah, that
guys haven't met an injury that they didn't like.
exactly.
So you
Now,
know,
I don't know if he's a three down back because he's kind of small in stature,
but but you put
but
him in that offense, Mike
he could be the
McDaniel,
Mostert in there.
right? So I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. Um, I
Let's go back
also
to
think
Charbonnet because I know he fucks up your plans a bit in Seattle. He seems to be a little more of a complete back compared to Walker, right? He's a better receiver.
he's a better
And
receiver and he's a little bit bigger. Walker was definitely banged up a little bit last year, but when he got the ball, he was one of the best rookie rushers behind Brees Hall.
yeah,
Um, so I don't know. He's just not really good at catching the ball. So I don't know how they're gonna play that out. I think Seattle's plan is to run the ball a lot,
it's going to
but
be
they
a
also
committee, right?
drafted JSN, right? So
Yep.
who knows? Who knows?
I
It
know.
definitely threw me for a curveball. I
Oh,
thought getting Kenneth Walker was
oh, I know.
a boon, 3 weeks ago, and then the draft happened, and I was like, oh, I gave up all my capital to get Kenneth Walker, and now I can't get Zach Charbonnet. So
Yeah, like I know the winter months are boring, but maybe that's why you don't go nuts in like February or March when you're bored. Like I really don't look at stuff till the draft happens.
right,
I might miss out on things, but it's like, are you sure this guy's going to
I
be the dude in September?
I wasn't. I'm. Not, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I'm not in love with the players in this draft.
Oh yeah, no, and
Uh,
that's fair. I forget what pick you traded for
I had traded a first and my second first, fifth overall, and
fifth overall.
two seconds, which was like 13th and 15th overall,
Oof,
to get Kenneth Walker. And
okay,
in
fairly steep.
hindsight, it was very steep. Even in reality, it was steep. But I also didn't want to take 4, 5 guys in the top. I don't want to put
Of
that
this
many people.
draft. Yeah,
Yeah, of this draft exactly. So I would rather take some guy who proved he could do it last year, and because now I have a first, I have a second, I have a fourth, a third, and a fifth,
you still have a ton
and
of picks,
I
and
have four
you're
picks.
rebuilding, right? So you want to
Yeah,
rebuild
I
it.
have 4 picks still anyway, and I didn't want to take one of the. I wanted to take one of the quarterbacks, but I didn't want to take one of the quarterbacks because
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm just not in love with them. And
right.
that's a good segue. Let's talk
Yeah,
about the
why not?
quarterbacks now. What
Sure.
what do you who are you liking in this draft quarterback wise?
Well, I think Richardson is kind of in his own tier, in my opinion. I'm probably giving away too much. Let's edit that one out. The guys in the league might say that. No, but in this particular league with my roster, I'm kind of in a weird spot at quarterback. So, um, if somebody drops to me, I'm going to take a long look at a guy like Brian Young or C.J. Stroud. If a guy drops to me,
You're
interpret
definitely
that.
going to get a quarterback to drop to you at 9 because we just named the top 5 and there's 4 quarterbacks plus there's one more quarterback that is a starter in the NFL now that'll
Mhm.
be in the draft that's
There
not a
is. Yep.
rookie. So
Um,
you'll have a
I'm
choice.
I more meant like I have like 3 picks in the top 21.
Okay.
I think maybe somebody drops to me in any of those picks, sure. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of an underwhelming draft, quarterback wise, though. That's just me.
Yeah.
And also my just my roster structure. I really don't know what to do with Trey Lance. I feel like I need some more time there.
I
It's a tough
think I
spot.
think the 49ers need more time. They
Yeah,
keep sending out all these notices saying he's
right.
doing great, he's looking great,
I know
which
there was
does
this fucking glowing article about him working out with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, it's May. They just need clicks.
Well, I also
So
think
who the hell
that the
knows?
Niners know that Purdy's going to be their guy, right?
Kind of
Hopefully,
feels like it, man. Yeah. So I was hoping Lance would get dealt,
but where's he going to go?
and
Who needs a
friggin'
quarterback?
Darnold is there too now.
Oh
I was hoping he would get dealt before during the draft. I mean,
but
yeah, now
where?
it's probably too late.
Where's he going to go?
I don't know. A bunch
The
of teams just
Commanders,
drafted quarterbacks.
right?
Um, Lance would seem like a shortcut if you're saying, I don't know, who's a comparable guy that's not Richardson? Who's? I guess there isn't another mobile quarterback here, is there? But like,
Ooh,
whoever took Hendon. Oh, I know who took Hendon Hooker. I mean, Trey Lance is better than Hendon Hooker, right?
I hope
On
so.
Detroit, I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. I
He might
think I
have less
think
than two ACLs as well. By the way, Hendon Hooker.
yeah. He's they already said he's going to redshirt this season, so that's definitely drafting for the future.
Right, and
But
and I've golf on my team. It's like I can't really drop that dude. I don't know.
well, Hendon Hooker's also going to be 26 before he takes his
Yeah,
first NFL snap.
right.
Trey Lance is like 19 still.
Well, anyway,
So
I'll ask you. Did you like Young or Stroud in particular?
no, I think Bryce Young will, if he plays 7 years in the NFL, I think he'll have like 1 or 2 decent years, and I just think the punishment he's going to take. He's fucking my size, and I'm
Yeah,
not big,
he
so
better be shifty.
he better be shifty. Kyler, he's compared to Kyler for stature, but Kyler's built like a little tank. Kyler's built more like Russell Wilson. They're smaller, stocky guys. Bryce Young is fucking. He looks frail, and that guy's
Yeah,
going to get hit by 250-pound to 300-pound men running full speed from time to time, and he doesn't run. Like Russell Wilson, when he was younger, used to take off and have some escapability and pick up yards. And Kyler obviously can run, or used to before he lost his ACL. So I don't I don't know. He can barely see over the line of scrimmage. I think all that being said, he was still the number one pick in the draft, so he's obviously got a skill set. I just hope
yeah.
they can keep him upright and keep him off the IR. So I don't have interest in investing a pick in
He
him
is
long
jumping
term.
right in though. If anybody needs a quarterback, I mean, right? He's playing.
I mean, they already said Andy Dalton's the number one quarterback, but
How
it's
long
like
is
you
that
said,
going
it's
to last?
fucking May. I don't know, probably till the third week of training camp, like it always goes, so they
Yeah,
can make the kid earn it. CJ Stroud, more NFL type body, pocket passer. I don't know. I think he's got a floor. I also think he's got a lower ceiling than a lot of these guys, but he's
yeah.
he's done nothing but put up great numbers throughout his career. He definitely had NFL
He was
track star
throwing some.
receivers,
Right.
and he had NFL offensive line against college kids. So he's not going to that down in Houston. So
Welcome to
let's see
Houston,
what,
kid. Yeah.
yeah, let's see what he can do. But
Him and Tank
again,
Dell.
wouldn't invest in him. Tank Dell, isn't he like 5'6"?
Yes.
Um, and then you
Are you a
look
Will
at,
Levis truther?
I mean, I'm not a Will Levis truther, but if Will
Pride of
Levis
Connecticut.
falls, if he's in the third round staring me in the face, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna not, I'm not gonna say no, but I wouldn't
Right.
take him in the first round. Same thing with Hendon Hooker. If he's in the fourth round and he's still sitting there, maybe I take a flyer on him, right? Why
Sure.
not?
At
But
that point.
I'm not investing a top 2 rounds pick into either of those guys. And then there's really no one else in that draft besides Anthony Richardson. So if I'm
Yeah.
taking a quarterback,
Quarterback wise.
out of this draft, it's Anthony Richardson because it's
Yeah.
boomer
Yeah.
bust.
I agree. So, you want to talk receivers?
Let's talk receivers. Um, Everyone's saying Jordan Addison was the best guy to come out of this class. I vehemently disagree. I think one, Zay Flowers is the best receiver coming out of this class, in my
Nice. I
opinion.
like it. I like it.
I think JSN has the ability to be the best
The
receiver,
ability. Yes.
but he's been injured for an entire year. And
He's
I
probably not going
think
to come out
that,
of the gate like that, right?
right. And I think Jordan Addison is good, but there's a fucking guy in
Yeah.
Minnesota named Justin Jefferson. I don't think
1.1 on most drafts, like regular drafts.
I don't think you're taking target share. Now, if you want to tell me he's going to get Thielen's target share, that's cool. But is that a number one receiver?
No.
No.
And
So
and and honestly, how long has Jefferson been in Minnesota? Like 2 or 3 years?
I think he's going into his fourth year.
All right. All right.
So it's
So
been 3 years
I
already.
think Thielen had like 2 good years. I mean, he wasn't great last year, was he? or am I?
No, he was not great last year or the year before. I think their first year together they were both good. And
Yes. So
Jefferson was the one that was kind of like the new. He was his rookie
right.
year. Jefferson came out of nowhere and just had a really great year. But yeah, Thielen then kind of broke down. I think he's like 31, 32, and now he's Bryce Young's
I know
number one receiver down in Carolina, right? So
him and so
DJ Chark.
that's right. They got Shark and our boy Jonathan Mingo.
Hmm
I love the meme you posted this morning because the guy kind of looks like me.
It was
So
pretty awesome. It made me think of Jed.
yeah. If I was drafting from my computer like you guys, maybe that's literally what I would do
You
before.
also pick at the ninth slot, right? Or was that the
Yeah.
10th slot?
Oh no, the meme was the 10th, so it was
God
really
damn it.
close though.
God damn it. Yeah, man. So
So
like, I mean, I think obviously there's more receivers than running backs, quarterbacks that get on the field, right?
yeah,
So I think we probably have the most amount of sleepers in there,
it's
and
gonna be
I
fun.
like Mingo, right? He's down in Carolina, like you said. He has a chance to maybe win that number one overall job, or at least be the number two guy.
Just big dude, like should I don't know unless you're worried about Terrace Marshall, right? But
Terrence Marshall, I liked
he's a
Terrence
decent
Marshall
player
last
though.
year. Yeah, he's
Mingo
not
probably still.
terrible. And then
Well, you
I
got
like the
Marvin
kid Wright.
Mims.
You like
Who?
Mims in Denver? Let's talk about him.
Oh yeah.
That was Sean Payton's first pick as coach for the wide receiver, and there's been so much talk about trading Judy.
I know it's a packed room because Tim Patrick's coming back too.
We got Patrick. You got
Cortland,
KJ Rager. Is that his name? Rager, whatever.
Hamlin.
Cortland Sutton. KJ Hamlin. That's right. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy and Melvin Mims. That's five guys, right?
Something's got to
So
give there.
something's got to give.
Who did you mention? Right?
Rice from
Oh,
Kansas City.
Rice. Yeah. Is
Yes.
that Rache or Rashe? Rache, probably right.
I mean, I
Rache
don't know how you
Rice
pronounce
sounds
it.
better.
Sounds way
Someone's
better.
gonna have to draft him today, so someone's gonna have to say it out loud.
This is true. This is true. So he looks
So
nice.
he
He's got a
does, but
possibility.
beware.
Well,
Everybody
this from the guy who drafted Sky Moore in the first round last year. Let's talk about
over. Do you know over who? Oh, talk
Garrett
myself out
Wilson.
of this one.
No, it
No,
wasn't
no.
Garrett Wilson.
Wilson was gone, but this guy
Oh, Chris
fucking went
Olave.
off. Yes,
Chris Olave. Yeah.
talk myself out of Olave.
Hmm.
And Christian Watson for Sky Moore. So buyer beware with Chiefs. It seems like a good thing, but really he's only made Tyreek an elite receiver so far. Have I given up on Sky Moore? Would I draft Rashid Rice? Sorry, I have not given up on Sky Moore completely. I would draft Rashid Rice if the value's there. I would just tell people to be careful though.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
who else we got? So, Jaden Reed. Green Bay is really good developing receivers.
I
I mean,
think.
that's the consensus, right? Pittsburgh and Green Bay. So you you think Reed has a chance to jump right in?
Yeah, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna run a lot of three receiver sets. I think between him and the two guys, Watson and the other guy they drafted last year. That his name is escaping me. Um,
Yeah, Dubs,
Dubs, yeah,
Romeo.
from Nevada, Romeo Dubs, yeah. So I think between those three, he's got a chance to get on the field, and he's got a chance to get some targets from Jordan Love.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Jimmy, get out of here,
Tommy,
Tomcat.
Tommy
So
boy.
so yeah, man, I like those guys, and there's a couple other out there. There's a couple other out there, but I think maybe Jalen Hyatt. How do you feel about that kid from the New York Football Giants?
Oh, Jalen Hyatt. He's not going to make an immediate impact, so I wouldn't reach for that dude. No.
That's a guy
What we have
late
like
second,
six.
early third.
Yeah, probably right or third
Yeah.
round. He's not going to get any slot play, right? So he's going to have to, figure out how to play in the NFL on the outside like right away. And I don't know. Maybe he's got the chops, but I don't trust it.
I will say, for the coach, Dayball, when he was in Buffalo, they always had a deep threat that caught a few bombs every year. Was whether it
Mhm.
was like Isaiah McKenzie or who was the other guy that they had that was always good at going deep? I can't remember right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that's
Um,
what
I
is.
think long term he can be okay. I just think he's in Slayton's. I think Slayton is going to have that spot, so he might have to wait a bit.
Yeah. And I also like Cedric Tillman from Cleveland. I think that's a guy, a little bit bigger guy coming off an
Yeah,
injury, that kind of similar to Pickens last year, that could possibly get some run. I know that Cleveland likes to run the ball a lot, so it's not the ideal situation, but I don't think his receiver room is so difficult to overcome that he couldn't possibly end up being a guy there down the road.
well, especially
So
if Watson returns to form. Can you see the comments? Apparently, we got one because I can't
take a
see them.
look. Let's take a look. It's oh my god. Oh, let's see, Josh. The Devils will need to re-sign Meyer and Howla. Bratt sucked in the playoffs and blew his $8 million per year deal. Can you
Yeah,
give your
R.I.P.
opinion
Devil.
on? Can you give your opinion on A. Rich and Flowers for 4 and 3? So we already talked about A. Rich. We believe that Anthony Richardson is the guy, and we think that I've already said Zay
You
Flowers
said
is my.
Flowers. Yeah, your favorite.
I think he's my favorite receiver. He reminds me of little Steve Smith. Goes up and gets the ball, a little diminutive guy, but he's probably going to be relegated to the slot. In Baltimore, that's not a bad thing. They're bringing in
No,
Todd Monken to be their offensive coordinator, and he is going to be throwing the ball more with Lamar, who just got a huge contract, right?
right.
So if you don't really have a slot guy, but you're competing with the only thing I don't like is you're competing with targets with Mark Andrews, Odell Beckham Jr., and
And Bateman.
yep. That's what I think about that. I don't know who Monty is.
Again, this is not Dynasty though. So Dynasty, um, Flowers, I think is going to have a good long term future with that Lamar connection.
Oh, Josh also said Trey Lance stinks.
Yeah,
He wants to talk a little bit about JSN. We did that already, so hopefully he is okay with that. Above comment is Addison. Give me the guy that is 90% of Garrett Wilson across from the best wide receiver in football. That is Addison. Okay.
yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Josh, if you're
yeah.
going to
Go
take
ahead.
Addison in the top five, I applaud you. Go for it. We've talked about this off air. Zay Flowers is the guy that I would be taking. And if you are going to invest in a quarterback, Anthony Richardson's the guy I'm taking. So I think
I'm
if
not
the,
looking to take a receiver, but if somehow Johnston slips to 9, I'm probably taking him. I'll say that.
I mean, that guy is going to replace Keenan Allen and grow with Justin
And
Herbert.
probably Mike Williams. Like they're kind of the same player.
I think Quentin Johnston's, if he can get rid of the dropsies and he grows with Herbert, he was a beast
Yeah.
at Texas Tech. In that, even in the championship game, he played very well. I mean, he was going up against Georgia, and they were still tough to stop him. So
Yeah, he's hard to
uh,
contain at least. So
he's got to work
we'll
on his
see.
hands, and I think he's a body catcher, but he's
Right.
huge. He's definitely an X receiver in the NFL. So
And like we're running out of time, but there are a ton of good tight ends we didn't even get to here. So that is one part of the draft that seems to be strong this year. Do you agree?
I do. I think that
Yeah.
you can get a starting tight end probably in the second and third round this year,
Yeah. First couple of
or
rounds at least.
maybe not starting out of the gate this year, but I think within the next 2 to 3 years, which is usually the tight end trajectory. I
Yeah.
think this was a strong draft for tight ends. It's not sexy, but there's about 5 to 7 tight ends that I like in this draft.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited. And God, I think that's it, right? Any
it
super
is.
sleeper you want to shout out, or just
I will not
fun
share
name?
any of that with you.
I know you love Israel.
I
I
do
already
love
know that.
Izzy. I don't think I'm going to get him because I'm at the
Yeah.
middle of the second round, and I think someone's going to jump at him before me. I think there are a couple running backs that I like that are super sleepers. There's a couple tight ends that I like that are super sleepers.
Yeah.
But we'll let that all unfold in the next hour plus, Dougie.
We shall, and I just want to say the name. I forgot his first name because I'm an idiot. Kayshawn Booty. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
just wanted to say it out loud.
yep. But he's a Patriot, so right?
Yeah. Oh,
Is that I can't
he
touch him.
is.
Can't touch him.
No, 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 no. No,
All right, Dougie. Well, what do you got to say? It's been a great
hey,
show. What do you got to say?
it has been a great show, Mike. This was a nice Saturday afternoon, and this was a sad Via con Dios because it's someone passing away, but he was a living legend, and he's one of the titans of the 20th century, and maybe one of the best lacrosse players ever. And of course, I'm talking about Manhasset, New York's own, and Syracuse University's own, and a star of many movies, Jim Brown. And I actually got to meet him, or I shook his hand as a kid, and I'll never forget it. He was the biggest man I've ever met, probably still. Man of few words, but yeah, R.I.P. Jim Brown. He was maybe the most dominant in his period running back ever.
I think probably ever.
Not non Barry Sanders category, but yeah,
But I also
he was.
and I think that that's a great one. And I think he was 87 when he passed away, and
Yeah.
I think he probably could have still whipped both of our asses at the
Oh,
same
dude.
time at 87. So
Yeah, which I mean isn't too hard, but yeah, I
you'd think that me and you could hold a chance against an 87-year-old if it's 2-on-1.
that motherfucker was in the Dirty Dozen. I don't think we can. I think
No,
you get special
man,
powers if you're in the Dirty Dozen. So,
definitely.
R.I.P. King.
All right. Well, audience, it's been great. Josh, good luck. I hope you
Thanks
take
for
a
watching.
rich in flowers. Thanks for watching. And audience, we'll see you next week.